So we are in part 2 of the book of Sirach. If you remember last time we talked about the background of the book, intertestamental literature, book of wisdom. And actually there's a message version of Sirach now. The Message, one of Eugene Peterson's Catholic friends was like, hey, why didn't you do the whole Bible? And he was like, I'll let you do this. So he handed it off to his Catholic friend and he translated the intertestamental literature. So there's an option for you. And you'll also see at the bottom of the first page, I've listed all of the versions of Sirach that you can find. So in this front page here, we have a huge outline of the book of Sirach, some valuable things in each chapter. You'll notice there's some underlined things, and I underlined that which I thought was a significant cross-reference to the New Testament especially. But I also put some things in bold, and those are the things that are what I believe to be very unique to the book of Sirach. So that's what I want to go through today. If you'll flip your page over, go to that other page, and I'm going to have each of us read a section of a unique part of Sirach so that we can kind of explore the book a little bit more, get more into the themes of it. So, Mr. Schumann, if you'd read the chapter 6 part on true friendship.
I think I have the wrong thing.
I have the wrong one. Cool. That's all good.
Well, that makes sense. When you gain friends, gain them through testing. Do not trust them hastily, for there are friends who are such when it suits them. They will not stand by you in time of trouble.
And this is just part of an extended section in the book of Sirach on friendship. Now, I don't know if you all can think of a distinct wisdom literature book in the Protestant canon that actually talks about friendship, what it means to be a good friend. And I think this is one of the unique things in this book that's pretty valuable for people to read. And then in chapter 13, talks about the miser distinctly. Kempton, could you read that for us?
Yep. If one is mean to himself, to whom will he be generous? He will not enjoy his own riches. My child, treat yourself well according to your means and present worthy offerings to the Lord. Do good to friends before you die, and reach out and give to them as much as you can.
Thank you, Kempton. So there's this idea of being good to yourself, but also being good to others and being generous to God. So it's not leaving out, it's not saying deprive yourself completely for the sake of giving to others. But it's saying actually provide for yourself so that you can provide for others distinctly. So maybe a prequel to the idea of love your neighbor as yourself. That as yourself idea coming before being valuable. And then Joe is not here, but if you could read, Stephen, the free will section.
Yeah. Do not say it was the Lord's doing that I fell away, for he does not do what he hates. Do not say it was he who led me astray, for he has no need of the sinful. He has not commanded anyone to be wicked.
So this is a very small section of a large section, verses 11 to 20, not 11-teen. That's not a word, if you didn't know that. But it's a very distinct passage on just the idea of, God didn't want you to sin. That was not his will for you. So don't blame God for that. Blame yourself because you chose to transgress the Torah and do something that the Lord didn't want you to do. And then talking about children, this is a unique passage. It goes pretty countercultural. I'll read this one. It says, if children multiply, do not rejoice in them, unless the fear of the Lord is in them. For one can be better than 1,000, and to die childless is better than to have ungodly children. For through one intelligent person, a city can be filled with people, but through a clan of outlaws, it becomes desolate. Very countercultural, isn't it? Especially in that day and age, where if you didn't have children, it'd bring shame on your family. But Sirach is saying, there's actually sometimes where it's a benefit to not have children. If they don't fear the Lord, then probably better not to have children. It kind of drives a wedge in the culture. And then Nicholas, if you could read Sirach 20, verses 6 to 7, on silence and speech.
Some people keep silent because they have nothing to say, while others keep silent because they know when to speak. The wise remain silent until the right moment, but a boasting fool misses the right moment.
So this kind of expands on some ideas in Proverbs, but it gets a lot more specific. And, this happens in our culture today. I know sometimes I'm the one who has nothing to say, but I'm reinterpreted as the one who's wise because I'm not saying anything. So they actually think I know when to speak. So that's a reality today. And then I like that verse 7, the wise remain silent until the right moment, but the boasting fool misses the right moment. So this idea of caution with your words. Elsewhere it talks about weighing your words and just being ready for the right time to release your words. I think that's pretty unique. And then in chapter 26, talking about distinctly daughters, not sons. As in Proverbs, it often speaks to the son. My son, don't do this. Don't go after the woman. But what does it say about daughters? Daniel?
Keep strict watch over a headstrong daughter, or else when she finds liberty, she will make use of it. Be on guard against her impudent eye, and do not be surprised if she sins against you. As a thirsty traveler opens his mouth and drinks from any water near him, so she will sit in front of every tent peg and open her quiver to the arrow.
And in a more paraphrased version, it's a little more graphic, but you can kind of guess what this is talking about with the imagery. We won't go into too much detail. Let's just go to the next section. Hutton, if you could read regarding eating and drinking.
Be the first to stop eating, as befits good manners, and do not be insatiable, or you will give offense. If you are seated among many persons, do not help yourself before they do. Wine drunk at the proper time and in moderation is rejoicing of heart and gladness of soul. Wine drunk to excess leads to bitterness of spirit, to quarrels and stumbling.
So in this passage, at least, it's pretty clear. Yeah, it's okay to have wine as long as it's in moderation. It's also fine to eat as long as you don't, overindulge yourself. And it just gives. What I like about the book of Sirach is it really gets into the details. Like, okay, this is a dining scenario. This is what it's going to be like when you go into an environment where you're dining with others, and just watch out. And it gets very specific. Like, here's some tools you can use to prevent yourself from gluttony. And then in Sirach 38, regarding physicians, I'm sure you've heard this passage before. Sarah, if you could read that.
Honor physicians for their services, for the Lord created them. For their gift of healing comes from the Most High, and they are rewarded by the King.
So not many charismatic Pentecostal churches would think of a gift of healing being in a physician. That's usually not the first place you think of, is it? But that's actually the distinct wording here. For their gift of healing comes from the Most High. They are rewarded by the King. So this is, and then in the rest of the passage it goes into detail of, well, God created the things in nature for the purpose of, bringing healing to us. And so some of the things in nature are valuable for the sake of bringing healing. And then I'll read this last one, an ode to death. That's the context of these last couple of verses. It says, do not fear death's decree for you. Remember those who went before you and those who will come after you. This is the Lord's decree for all flesh. Why then should you reject the will of the Most High? Kind of a unique perspective, isn't it? The idea of death being the will of God. being part of God's will for us to die after the fall. Certainly not his original desire for us, but it is now his plan for each and every one of us. And I think the wording just makes that point very distinct among other biblical books. So I hope you enjoyed the overview of the book of Sirach. Again, the first page. You can kind of utilize that to dissect what chapters you might want to read someday. Thank you.